Markets are definitely set to open deep into the red this morning, and it might not be the end of this trend. Let's have a look at today's market setup and what we could expect moving forward. It's March the 10th, and we're about 10 to the opening bell. So, economic calendar today at least is very quiet. We do have some very important numbers, including CPI later on this week. But taking a look at the markets, futures, as I mentioned, definitely set to open into the red. US 30 is currently down about 465 points. The 500 down 77.5, and tech currently down 317. Now, looking at commodities, crude this morning is up very slightly at about 1/3%, but precious metals, both gold and silver, are trending slightly downwards. Looking at the US dollar, down about 13 basis points, and the 10-year yield here, a big move down about 1.57%. Now, looking forward, will this trend continue? Over the last 3 days, we did see some significant positivity there. However, we did see some major downside on Thursday. The question is, what will we see today? Well, as long as we continue to see this downside pressure on the 10-year yield, it could be an indicator of one of two things. Number one, risk-off assets are starting to increase, meaning people are moving to bonds as opposed to risk-on equities. Second, this might be a deliberate plan, both from the Fed, which we know is actively buying down this yield, but secondary, it could be a way for the president here to try to lower expenses or as far as interest rate costs. Now, let's have a look at cryptocurrency really briefly here, where we're seeing a lot of red still over the last 24 hours. But jumping back to what we might want to see here going forward, we'll definitely need to see some kind of positivity, and that very likely might happen, which we saw on Friday, a huge turnaround before finishing the day in the positive. Now, if we don't see that, that can be all but confirming that there will be a continued negative trend moving forward here. Again, that very likely could be by design. And I anticipate that might very likely now be the case, whereas before we were leaning a little bit more positive for a little bit longer. Keep in mind, we also have to see what the Fed's decision is going to be, both in Canada and the US, and see what direction that may take now with a crumbling economy, both south of the border and here in Canada. But that's it for now, everybody. I will see you at the closing bell.